Recording in progress.
Hello, Art. Can't hear you.
Let me,
Getting there.
okay, I need to adjust the volume here. Oh, come on. Headset.
There you go. That's better.
Okay.
I like your background.
Okay. Well,
I don't know what that's supposed to be, but I like it.
it's the lightning detector, the German lightning detector. Just a minute, I'll send you a link.
Okay.
Just a moment.
Oh, I can't hear you again. What happened?
I turned up the volume. Huh. That is strange.
That is strange because you're real faint again.
Huh. Okay, try that.
That. Yep. You're back.
Okay. Is that okay?
Yep. Sound great.
Okay. Let me go get that link. Just a moment.
We'll hang out for a little bit. Wait for a few more people to show up. I've got a little demo of that robot that I've been working on with the ultra wide bands. So
Okay. Let's see if I can share.
should be able to.
Hmm.
There you go.
Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
That is a site called, it's the, uh, well, the link is blitzorgtung.org, and we're doing the English version of it here. So, I'm gonna pop out of screen sharing and grab you the link, okay?
Cool.
Okay, here we go. All right, now.
So what is it showing all the lightning strikes that are happening right now? Is
Yeah,
it real
that's
time?
that is real time.
Wow.
Uh, okay, just a moment. Here we go. Here's the link for the entire United States. And let me put up the chat here. Okay. No, I didn't grab it right. Just a moment. Copy. Paste. There
Okay.
it is.
Cool.
Okay. So if you click on that, you'll see the real time. That's for the United States, and you can select a different region if you want to. Each of those centers of the clusters is the place where the lightning is occurring.
Okay.
The other end of the line are individual community operated stations that individuals have with their detectors. And the way this thing works is it is a very precise timing situation, and it uses GPS for the timer. And so all these guys are coordinated to see the lightning strikes at the same time. So you see all the points on the star, so to speak,
Right.
are the community members who have one of these things set up. So you can see there, you got some up in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
you got some on the West Coast, you got a lot of them towards the east. And the lightning strikes are primarily concentrated on the East Coast, although there's some up in the Ontario area. And there's some down in Mexico and some in
It's like New Mexico and Nevada, maybe
Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah, Nevada's further over. The farthest west that I see, well, there's one down there in Baja,
Yeah.
California.
Yeah, I see that one.
None in California, but a bunch in New Mexico, and then a couple down in various locations in Mexico.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, that's
So the storm that passed through today has already moved to the east of us, and we're going to get another round here soon.
that's my understanding.
Hmm.
In Milford today, we got 0.34 inches of rain.
Yeah.
In other words, a little more than a third of an inch.
Yeah, it rained enough to say it rained. and it lightning for a while, but
Well, it rained enough to keep the grass, healthy.
yeah.
It's rather amusing. Um, I am currently having, a sprinkler system, installed in my Milford house. And the two guys doing it have been working on it since last week sometime, on and off, because they've got another business going. And the rain apparently chased them out this morning. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it looks like Jim's trying to come on here.
Well, Jim's somewhere.
So I'm seeing two of you.
That is true. You are, because I've got that demo to do, but it's set up in the other room and Jim disappeared.
Okay.
Um,
Why are we a remote only today?
I did not feel good. I haven't
Oh,
felt good the past couple of days, and I don't think it's anything bad, but with everything else in the world, it's just better to stay home. You know, I
yeah.
think what I have is like a summertime cold. Patty's been making me sleep in the AC, and I get downright cold, and she says, "No, it's too hot in here." And I go, "No, it's not. It's freaking 50 degrees in here. It's not too hot."
I see. Yeah, we have the same combination. I have started many years ago actually sleeping with, I don't know what you call them, one of these knit hats that you pull down over you. What are those called?
Like a watch cap.
Yeah, it's like a watch cap,
Yeah.
right? I have a bunch of them. So at any rate,
Oh, I'll curl up in the blanket, and the next thing I know, even though she's hot, she's got the black blanket wrapped around her. I'm like, no, this is not
yeah,
going to work.
yeah,
And I'm freezing again.
yeah, yeah.
But today it says it's 81 right now. It's relatively cool. We've got a nice breeze going. I've got the doors open. I got the windows open. I've got a breeze going through the house, and she's at work. So
Oh, okay. Well, let's see what the temperature is in, oh, I lost my connection. Just a moment.
yeah,
Uh,
Google's telling me it's 81 right now. So it was supposed to be mid 70s. So it's gotten a little hotter. We got some rain. The humidity went up for a while, but that's even seems like it's gotten chased off, and it doesn't really seem all that humid out right now.
hmm.
But I know we're due for another round of storms soon. So
Yeah, I've seen that on, from time to time I check out, what is it, WLWT
mhm.
Channel 5 in, Cincinnati. So, um, huh, lost my connection
With the house.
the house. I
Yeah.
hope that doesn't mean that I have a problem, but, well, time will tell.
There's, I mean, even looking at the weather maps, there's nothing really going on around here. So
Yeah, well, I I don't know what happened, but I'll check it out after the meeting's over. Um,
yeah,
just a moment. Any rate, so so you basically were feeling under the weather, so that's the answer. Okay.
yeah. I just, like I said, I don't think there's anything going on with it. I I feel bad. I feel I'm stuffed off. You probably could hear it, but that's about as bad as it is. But with everything else going on, it's just better to stay home. It's just,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
yeah,
not
yeah,
only you've got your granddaughter coming in every day, right? Well, those until they reach maturity, they're like petri dishes. Okay,
yeah.
culture. I remember I had daughters that are 13 years apart, and you know, when the older one finally, by the time she hit being a teenager, she was not too bad. I mean, we had other problems when she was a teenager, but the health problems were, and then her sister was born. And I went through the whole sequence again. It was like,
Uh,
oh, I've
you
been to
know,
I've been to this party. I recognize the music.
when the three kids were younger, they would pass it around. It was just holy cow. One would have it and then it would go to the next one and they would be fine, but then it would make a big circle and come back. And I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
you gotta be kidding me. And then it would hit us, me and Patty. And so yes, I am fully aware of how that works.
Huh.
Okay, Jim looks like he's trying to come back. I don't know what there
Oh, there
there
he
he
is.
is. Now we
There
can
it is.
see him.
No hat.
I looked better before.
Well,
No.
you know,
No hat. Are you de-hatting today?
I also have no hat.
Yeah. You look like you had a haircut too.
That was a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Probably need a little trim, but not bad.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out, experimenting with ways to cut my own hair over the last 2 years. And I have a gizmo I bought on Amazon that is supposed to give you a constant, it's like a buzz cut with and you adjust something to adjust and it works pretty well. Thing is, it's in Milford right now, so it's not very accessible.
I
So,
just use hair trimmers. Just just the buzzers, the clippers.
yeah.
Just and what I have actually found that works the best are the ones that were made for dogs.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
have to check that out.
Not only are they cheaper, they're also thinner, little thinner blade, and they don't pinch like
Oh,
the bigger ones can do. And I was like, we were looking for a set 4 or 5 years ago, and we could not find the human ones. And so we went over into the pet aisle and there they were. And I was like, they're the same thing,
yeah.
especially if you don't use them on a animal. I mean, it's the same thing. And they
Yeah.
were I think at the time they were $10, where the adult ones were like 45. And I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm paying $10 for these.
Yeah.
Work great. And they don't pinch. So
I remember, speaking of pinching, when I was a kid, my dad cut my hair, and it was always a buzz cut in those days. And but it was also a mechanical hand pinch kind of. They were like a set of pliers that you'd pinch like this, and then they had the typical shear blades.
mhm.
Okay. The problem is that unless you are really steady handed, those things pull like mad. And
Yeah.
I remember it hurt like hell every time he cut my hair. And finally, then he took me to a barber shop one time, and I think they had the electric ones. And you keep in mind, this was in the late 40s, early 50s. And but I remember, boy, those damn things. It would have been like using sheep shears, the hand sheep shears, not the. Today they have electric sheep shears, and they go. Bzz, bzz,
Yeah.
bzz. But and of course they're cutting longer hair in that case too. You don't shear a sheep
Yeah.
typically until the wool has grown completely out. But I remember that. That was not one of my favorite childhood things. So
My mom bought a Floby off of the off of the late night infomercials. So
what is
all,
a Floby?
all the kids had to endure a Floby.
What was a Floby anyway?
Hang on, I'll see if I could.
That must have been long after I was a kid, because I have never even heard of a Floby.
It's a they still make the stupid things. It is a self haircut
Oh, really?
thingamabob.
Holy crap. Huh.
Of course, back in the 70s, they were not $200. So
A Floby.
Yeah.
Wow.
so it's like a vacuum cleaner thing. And
So it
this
removes
part,
it removes the cut hair as it's going along.
it pulls it up, sucks it up, and there's like shears inside of here that are doing its thing, and it sucks the air in, and then you could adjust it to various lengths with those parts. Horrible thing, because it was always pulling your
Yeah. Well, now anymore, I have so little hair that I really only need to trim it around here. And I've got a beard trimmer, which works pretty well for me.
Yeah.
But problem I have is getting the back of the hair and the sides so that I don't end up with tufts sticking out every direction.
I've gotten better about getting the backs, but every now and then, I'll pick Patty up and she'll look and she'll, oh, you missed a spot, and she'll have to come and touch it up. So it just happens. But
so
yes.
How's it going, Jim? Can you hear us?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm trying to get Mint going again in the background.
Okay. That's quite a collection of cat towers you have over there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, you got cats, you got to keep them entertained. It's like women. Yeah.
Or kids.
Nah, forget the kids. Kids are on their own. I love kids. They're very tasty. Yeah.
I used to say that about dogs.
No, Mint, the Mint install was entertaining. Minor things like it didn't find the mouse. Okay.
Really?
That's weird.
It didn't find the keyboard.
Really?
That's weird.
Is it a wireless keyboard or a wired keyboard?
It's a laptop.
Oh, it's built in. Okay. That's
And,
strange.
my battery won't charge. So, yeah,
That
Why
is,
why would it affect the battery charging?
I don't know. I don't know if that was a thing, a meant thing or not. Maybe it wasn't.
why would it affect the mouse and keyboard? That's so weird.
Yeah, but those require drivers, but charging your battery, basically what happens in a laptop is you charge the laptop and then the computer itself is working off the output of the battery. So I'm kind of surprised that, I mean, you can charge the battery on a laptop without even having the laptop turned on. So I'm kind of,
So-
kind of wondering.
The,
So
the,
I-
the icon, is it showing that it's charged or it's actually not charging the battery?
It just showing, it's not showing that it shows 0 volts on the battery.
So that's probably a sensor. There's probably a sensor package that you need to install so that it can read the sensor.
Huh.
And it won't run unless it's plugged in.
That sounds
That's-
like the
that's
battery's not
interesting.
charged.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Huh.
So,
What version of Mint did you install?
20.3, something like that.
Yeah,
20.3.
That's the
And-
latest one.
And what laptop?
It's a oddball laptop. It's an Acer Aspire mainline. I mean, it's a mainline. I've got millions of them out there.
Huh.
When I searched for it, I immediately ran into an article. I should have searched for, it has a Synaptics touchpad.
Mm-hmm.
And when I searched for no touchpad, no keyboard, bam, that exact model. Bam.
Huh.
Okay. So somebody else has had this.
Sounds like a driver problem to me, but I don't know how you go about fixing that.
One of the things was in setup, they recommended turning on the it's a serial driver name. I don't know. So they fiddle around with it. Looks like they had a solution, but I didn't follow it any further. I had wasted enough time. Okay, I got it back up now. Let's see. And so I got an external keyboard and an external mouse.
Now the camera we're looking at, I assume, is not on the laptop.
No, that's on my other system. That's running a reliable operating system over there.
Oh, really?
Windows.
Good luck.
So on your Acer, the sound is the sound working?
Yeah, I think it was working. Yeah.
Okay. I'm very puzzled about the keyboard and mouse because even if it doesn't recognize the keyboard and mouse, it should just use generic drivers, which
Yeah.
would at least cause, you know, the main keys to function. Maybe not the special keys, but the main keys.
Well,
Yeah,
even
it might be.
Microsoft has trouble with Synaptics.
Yeah, that's just weird.
So they went in and said, use it you can select use a regular mouse or use the touchpad. And I selected touchpad. It made no difference.
So if you go to the control center from the main menu,
Okay, so
do you see something that says control center? It'll be over in the left-hand side.
I got a whole line of stuff over there. On the taskbar or on somewhere else?
No, when you click on the Linux Mint,
Icon.
yeah,
I've got all applications, accessories. I'm looking for what?
over on the left-hand side, there should be Control Center.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be one of the icons that doesn't have a name
Oh,
shown, right?
so it looks like little switches.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's got one of those.
So if you
And
open the Control Center up, there should be the very top of the Control Center. There should be something called Driver Manager. It's going to be another icon over in the in the center. And if that doesn't work,
there it is.
okay.
Driver Manager.
So if click on that, it'll ask you for your password. Type your password in, and then it will go off and look to see if it has any proprietary drivers that it can install. Right out of the repositories.
I wondered why I couldn't see the screen. Put my eyes on here. And
Okay, it doesn't like my password a couple of times in a row.
Make sure you've got either the caps lock or the num lock or whatever, you know, if that's a thing. It should tell you the caps lock is on though.
yeah,
Caps
usually
lock is off. Okay.
And if that doesn't work for you, Jim, if you can't remember your password, we're going to have to do other things.
Okay, we got that. It's looking for hardware drivers now.
Now, it may or may not find anything, but if it finds something, it'll go off and download the drivers and you'll have to restart a couple of times to get them installed. But that's the first place to go and look if you're getting some sort of driver issue with Linux.
Your
Is right there.
computer does not need any additional drivers.
It's lying.
Well, yeah.
So what?
You should probably use Windows.
No, it doesn't say that. So what that means is they don't have any proprietary drivers that the manufacturers have not provided any proprietary drivers for Linux, which basically means you're screwed.
yeah,
Yeah.
something to that effect.
Yeah.
I never had this problem with Windows.
Well,
That's
but
shocking.
they manufacturers provide Windows the drivers. So
Well, this is an oddball computer, you know, Acer.
I'm surprised that the keyboard and mouse doesn't work. I mean, I could see, you know, the Wi-Fi not working or the
Yeah.
or even maybe the battery charging not working. But the mouse and keyboard, that's just shocking. That's
Yeah, looks like it's common, you know, for this system. Like I said, I just did a general search and bam, that model popped up. My exact model popped up. Okay, and these. Okay.
you could probably play around in the command line and do a whole bunch of mod probes and some other stuff, but you pretty much got to know what you're looking for at that point.
Yeah, I think there looked like there was an odd a solution to it online. I figure we'll get Steve's. This would get Steve's to entertain him for a few minutes.
Yeah, Steve might be able to.
They have. It looks like they have the solution. It's just I'm not happy to go around copying suku commands or whatever the heck they are and
Sudo.
pasting them into my
Sudo.
command line, you know?
Well, yeah, if you don't know what those commands can do, you can you could foobiage your system with some of those. That's true. That could happen. Like sudo remove all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's like rm star dot star. Something
rm dash all the capital R star dot star
yeah,
in-
something like that.
outside of your in the root directory. Yeah, try that one, Jim.
Yeah.
That'll fix your problem. You'll be right back to Windows right now.
So I don't know if this is a tactful thing to ask or not. What possessed you to start using Linux there, Jim?
Well, the Acer is got a few miles on it, and it has the AMD chip in it,
Yeah,
and it only has 8 gig of RAM,
yeah,
so it's kind of slow on Windows. And it also has a nice feature that the AMDs had at that time. It shared the graphics memory.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't screaming around a lot.
Okay, so it's a performance issue.
So
Well,
how,
I just thought I would try it. It's got a nice display. It's a nice little box.
how old is this laptop?
Well, you've seen it. It's that one, that big one
Oh,
I brought in. That pretty Acer, pretty blue cover on it and all that stuff. It's pretty.
maybe you should try like Linux Mint 19 or 18.
Yeah, if it's old enough, maybe the kernel doesn't like that hardware. Who's got the
Okay,
dog?
Zoom wants me to open xdg-open.
That's going to open an external program.
Yeah,
Well, that's the
Or it's
probably
going to
client.
try to open an external program. If you have Zoom installed.
I do have Zoom installed, Zoom client. Oh, here we go. Here's the passcode. Control C doesn't work on the wrong keyboard for some reason. I don't know. There we go.
yeah, multiple keyboards like playing an organ with various keyboards. You got to remember which one you're on.
Did you try the live CD before you went and installed it, or did you just install?
The live CD.
Yeah.
How did
Oh.
you do the installation is what he's asking.
I just installed it and then I did the update.
Oh, you need to mute something, or
Well, he's got two
There we
systems
go.
running at the same
he's
time.
got two things going on now.
Yeah.
So there he is.
Oh, there
So-
he is.
See, that's what's weird. The camera's working, the sound's working,
Yep.
keyboard and mouse. Those are the two basic inputs.
Yeah. Those should be generic. I mean,
Yeah,
I would-
yeah, it should be.
those were
Even if
built-
even if the external, the extra function keys don't work, it should be generic enough to go ABC will work.
Huh, that's very strange.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Steve might know something. Especially since
Yeah.
your camera's working, but
Yeah.
All you got to do is say no touchpad, no keyboard, and search for that and Linux, and it'll come up with Aspire A351 la 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 la, my exact number, bam. And so, yeah. And it does have a supposed solution, but I wasn't going to risk doing the commands.
Well, I suspect one of the solutions is changing the CMOS.
The BIOS?
Yeah, getting the more recent BIOS.
No.
There might be something to that.
I don't know if Acer publishes new BIOSes, whatever the plural of BIOS is. But
BIOSes.
yeah, but it could be just that the BIOS is so ancient that it doesn't recognize, it probably doesn't recognize the modern kernel.
So
And the solution to that would be to use an older kernel like the 16 dot whatever it was, or
yeah,
18 dot whatever it was.
the very first site that I see discussing this problem says, I got mine working by updating the BIOS. So
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, by the way, will probably improve your Windows performance also. But, playing with the BIOS is hazardous. You can brick the machine. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
it's very, if you get the BIOS from the reputable source, from Acer, it's going to be very hard to brick that machine. I mean,
yeah, right.
I've never really had a BIOS. I know it can happen, but I've never really had a BIOS go bad.
Well, if you have a interruption during
Okay.
then
Okay.
you're likely to have it. A number of years ago, I worked for a company where I was.
Hey, Ray, you're looking good.
Oh yeah, hi Ray.
Hello. I'm just
Hello?
listening to the BIOS issue.
Oh, you going all black this year? Yeah.
So-
Listening to the BIOS issue.
So what time zone are you in there, Ray?
I'm just outside of Oxford, so I'm almost home.
Oh,
Cool.
you're on the road though.
No, we'll say this is a green screen. That would kind of probably be illegal if I were on a Zoom video while I was driving. That'd be bad.
Really? I'm
That's
surprised.
that's why we don't see Ray.
Oh, okay.
Ray's not really here.
You think basically Zoom is gonna bust you to the local cops?
No, it's called distracted by technology. If you're in an accident, it would be my fault if I was driving on a Zoom meeting. That'd be bad. Yep. And in some states, they have the hands-free law that says that you can't be touching your phone while you're driving.
Yeah, that's like that in California. Basically, you anything that is a distraction, theoretically, playing loud music on your radio is illegal. But if they busted the people for that, it would be the freeways would be empty. Okay.
People that like had their headphones on and driving around, I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
They probably have a crappy stereo system, but they should not, in my opinion, they should not be allowed to wear headphones and drive the car around.
Well, in California, you aren't, and I know when I lived in New Jersey, you weren't allowed to either. And there were exceptions for people who were hearing compromised in some way, but Generally speaking,
Yeah.
headphones were a no-no.
Yeah. I mean, I always understand there's always going to be some kind of an exception. You know, I only have one arm. I can't hear out of my left ear. Can't hear at all. Partial blindness. I don't know.
If you're
But,
driving with partial
really old.
blindness, I have other concerns.
Yeah. Well, if they have like one fake eye, is what I'm thinking. Yeah, one bad eye. Anyway, I have used computers and other devices that had BIOS where you could upgrade the BIOS, and I don't know the exact methods of like how they put the BIOS program in, but I know that like I was using one that had 2 BIOS locations, and if you downloaded it, it put the new BIOS into like BIOS number 2 space, and it would ask you, do you want to run that as your normal BIOS? And if everything went normal, you could say, okay, well, let's keep this one. If anything went bad, it went back to the original BIOS. And we're not
Oh,
just
that's
talking
good.
about like manufacturer settings to restore the manufacturer settings. This is like manufacturer BIOS versus new installed BIOS. So there's a big difference.
I've seen that before. I had a machine that had 2 BIOS chips, and that's basically what it was doing. It would put a backup copy of your previous BIOS in a second BIOS chip. And
Well, I think that this one actually put the new BIOS into a location, and it chose, did you want to use the original or did you want to go into the newly downloaded one?
Yeah.
So it wasn't creating a backup, it was using the secondary, or maybe if you did a complete hard reset, it would go back to the original BIOS.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've seen stuff. They've had stuff like that for, I don't know, 15, 20 years now.
Yeah.
And under in different types of implementations, but same basic idea. There's a backup copy of the original BIOS somewhere stored.
Yeah, well,
So,
yeah, it's not just the configuration parameters. It's an actual BIOS entire software.
Yeah.
That's in there. And you were talking about earlier about how you've never had one actually turn into a brick. I have not had any device turn into a brick. I think maybe one, and that's because I was putting in BIOS that didn't belong in it. And I think after like 30 minutes or so, I got it to actually take a new BIOS, trying to go back to the original stuff. But I was putting hacker firmware in, so I kind of expected it was going to be bad. Along with Leroy's opinion there, if you get good BIOS from a reputable place, it's probably going to work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Art's right. If you lose power, you're probably asking for trouble. But
well, one of the companies I worked for about 10 years ago, we were building supercomputers like, 32 core super servers, and those BIOS chips were actually removable. And what you would do there is you would take, it was about a, I don't know, 1 meg EEPROM, something like that. And you take that out.
I remember seeing them like that.
I'm sorry?
I remember seeing removable EEPROM, like Wingate or something like that.
Well, these were supercomputers. These were built for doing high speed.
Oh, I remember seeing them in like 486s and Pentium 1s, Pentium 2s computers on the motherboard.
Yeah, most of them now are soldered on so that you can't remove them. But in any case, these servers, you basically take your chip tongs and remove the EEPROM. You put it in a burner you burn the BIOS that you want, and then you put it back in. And
Yep.
we were doing a number of different, we were actually writing the BIOSes ourselves. And you know, so I would sit there for a long time in some cases, swapping in new BIOS to see what worked and what didn't work. Because what would typically happen is some feature of the machine would stop working. And so pull that out, make notes and so forth and so on, burn a new one, put another one in and so forth and so on. They were, I think they were typically 1 meg EEPROMs. They may have been 2 meg EEPROMs, something like that. The BIOS doesn't have to be very big.
Yeah.
Because when the machine's actually running, what they do is they mirror the BIOS into a portion of RAM, and that's what actually gets connected to the operating system. At any rate, so.
Yeah, I had I've seen a couple of motherboards that have had like JTAG connectors on them. So if you do
Yeah,
happen to brick it, you can recover the BIOS. The only devices that I have bricked, I've never bricked a computer doing a BIOS update, but I have bricked a couple of routers, and they're easy enough to fix as long as you've got a JTAG
yeah,
device. So
Yep.
yeah. If they have a JTAG connection in them, that'd be relatively easy. But,
yeah. Well, I've seen a few motherboards that have had JTAG connections. So my guess is somebody had bricked their boards and complained, and they said, "Oh, okay, we could do that."
yeah. Well, that's not an inexpensive solution though.
No, it's not. No,
'Cause the
it's cheaper now than it was then.
I was going to say the JTAG gizmo that we were working with, they were, I don't know, pretty pricey, like a couple of K, as I recall. And
They're
we-
stupid cheap nowadays.
Yeah, you could get a JTAG pretty a cloned JTAG, not a real JTAG.
yeah, yeah, we were doing some pretty heady stuff with these servers, but you know, as I've always told my kids and my students, in the fullest of time, the cost of hardware goes to zero.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, if you think in terms of how much in today's dollars would it cost to put in the amount of RAM that was in the original XT. Well, let's see, what was that? Maximum was something like 64K. Well, you can't even you can't even find something.
Find that crap.
Pardon?
Well,
You can't even find that stuff. No.
No, not at all.
no, and if you did, it would be expensive because you can't
Yes.
find it.
Yes. Well, it's like thumb drives, okay? The smallest thumb drive you can buy today, I think, is what, an 8 gig, something like that?
Smallest I've seen around here is 16, but
Anyway,
I got a pile of 256 megabyte you guys have.
thumb drives.
Yeah.
Don't get rid of those, Ray. They're actually useful.
yeah. So, what does the cat do? Does it waves its tail over the food first and then, or is that the way that it activates the dispenser there?
That's a dumb feeder there. It just feeds at certain times a day, 3 times a day.
Oh, okay.
And He's just circling around. He's circling back.
Oh,
Have you guys heard from Steve lately?
last week.
Yeah.
He had to fly up to Portland, Oregon. Monday, Tuesday, Monday.
Huh.
He did say something about going out west, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he ran the,
Going to Portland.
yeah, he ran the, on Saturday, he ran the, CLUG, the Cincinnati Linux User Group. So on Monday, he was going to Portland, Oregon. That sounds like, Intel or something like that.
I was just trying to get with him about working on the server. So we'll get it all going eventually. We'll get it all working.
I grabbed the caddies and gave them to him a couple weeks ago. So
Yeah, he got some of the hard drives installed and some other stuff, but we were going to work on them this weekend, and I don't know what hours, what days he was available. My wife's birthday is on Friday. We're going to go to a demolition derby at the county fair, and then there's a hamvention on Saturday morning. I believe it's Winchester. And then my wife wants me to take her out to dinner and a movie on Saturday. So I'm trying to hope that Steve's going to be available on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, busy schedule. They wrote the building, 1300 Hook Drive. It's one of the front buildings. I got a new parking lot installed. Go drive by there, take a look. Woohoo! Yeah.
I actually thought that you had gone into the trailer business there for a minute.
Oh Lord. One of my tenants, he rents the little building next to us, and we thought that he was going to have somewhere between 3 and 8 trailers. And I showed him like how big his available parking spot was, and he has taken up 3 times as much space for trailers.
Oh yeah, Carol said that he thought at most 10, and I said there's 10 out front where I drove through the parking lot.
Yeah, it is just absurd. I really don't even know what to think. But I told him, like, hey, we're gonna get an air conditioner for your building. We're gonna put up a partition wall so he'll have dedicated office space, and then he'll have workshop space. But the rent is gonna go up, and this whole thing parking out in the area is just crazy. I mean, I'm glad that his business is doing really well. I'm glad he's making really good money, but yeah, he's just overstepping his bounds for parking area.
What happened to the ball people, the baseball people?
They were there for a little more than 2 years, and actually, was it there 3 years? Anyway, they grew so much that she quit her full-time day job and went all for coaching. And then he, her dad, I'm not sure if he quit his job or not, but they needed more space. Only having 2 pitching lanes just wasn't enough.
So they outgrew you, huh?
They outgrew the building.
Yeah.
And moved up to Moraine, and now they are like cooperating, co-working with a big sports complex. So they just rent some of the pitching lanes, batting lanes,
Right.
and then they it's more of a constructive business area. And when you got a whole bunch of people interested in sports, it just works out better for them. Myself, I'm glad they're doing better. It took me like 2 months to find a new tenant, but I'm not hurt or anything at all.
So this was a pitching lane inside the building?
So the building that I have that we're talking about here was 45 by 65 feet. That's basically what it is. Well, yeah, 40 by 60, something like that. And inside of the building, they had 2 pitching lanes, or a batting lane and 2 pitching lanes. And they were doing real coaching of girls fast pitch softball. And it just grew and grew, and I helped them grow as much as I could. I got them indoor grass, helped them put up their nets and internet and television and all that stuff. And they would have 2 or 3 people there, students, training them while other students were watching. They had entire teams there on different days. But the parents would sit there and just roam around on the internet while they're waiting for the kids to get done. And we gave them internet as well. But most of their coaching was done from like 3 o'clock until 8 at night.
Yeah, I drove past there a few times, and the parking lot was full of cars for the pitching place.
Yeah.
It was just full.
And it was like the dome lights were on, and everybody's watching movies out in the car, surfing the internet. Waiting for the kids to come back out. Yeah, it was crazy.
So you said they had pitching lanes, but they were coaching girls basketball?
Girls softball.
Oh,
Girls
softball.
softball.
Okay.
Fast pitch girls softball. It was like competitive girls softball.
Yeah, I've watched a few of those games. I can tell you, it's amazing what you can do with a softball underhanded.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't want to get hit by one of those suckers, that's for sure.
No. So we put up protectors for the light, cages and everything. They had custom benches for everybody to come in, sit down, and watch the training. It was neat, it was just me helping out. Another company was there. I'd love for them to stay. I mean, they paid rent as much on time as you could ever have for a tenant. So happy.
I was just curious what happened to them, because you got all those trailers sitting there now.
It's just different company.
Yeah.
I mean, the new guy selling trailers, he's really nice. Just out there selling trailers, and a lot of it's social media.
Well, Ray, if you ever need another trailer, you know where they're at.
Yep. Well, I get to borrow one whenever I need one. Just borrow it for the day.
That's
cool.
That's a good deal. So
the guy is
the front building.
The guy is actually brokering trailers.
Yeah, he buys them from like 5 factories out of Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, maybe Pennsylvania. I'm not sure, but he has them trucked down to the property, and he'll receive like a load of 3 or 5. He gets trailers inside of trailers, which I thought was crazy. But yeah.
So these are single wide?
Single wide enclosed utility trailers. And
Oh,
you
okay.
know, like for if you're moving a Honda Goldwing or go-karts, golf carts, if you were like competitive motocross racing teams, car hauler trailers, trailers for hauling around a bobcat, a lot of stuff. But his specialty is enclosed trailers on a high-end scale. I'm talking like his trailers are $10,000 to $25,000, $37,000. He had one with I think it was 8 wheels, and it was like 40 feet long.
Oh,
And yeah, the name of the company is called Ohio Enclosed Trailers.
so that you could use this for moving a racing car or something like that.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
You could use it to move all kinds of stuff.
And not care if it's raining. Yeah.
That's cool.
So there's a new company moving into the 1300 building, and they supply all of the materials that a gas station or a mini mart would want to sell. Other than food and alcohol, they want to supply phone cords, phone chargers, radios, and smoke shop supplies. I'm not really into allowing smoke shop supplies, but money's money, and hard to say no to that money.
Money, 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 money.
Well, somebody pays rent, and they pay rent on schedule, and it's like over $3,000 a month. I'm like, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. So what are you up to there, Jim?
What?
What are you up to? What's with the flashlight?
I was getting the model number off my Acer.
He's
Oh.
looking for the BIOS.
A lot of times you have to look on the bottom, don't you?
It's right on the front. It's right on the, yeah.
Yes.
V3-551-8469 hike.
Hike.
Hike,
Like,
up, hike.
So you wanna see my little thing that I've been working on?
Sure,
yes.
sure.
All right, let me see here. Get video going on this thing. All right, and then I'm going to spotlight this video. And then I'm going to walk to the kitchen because that is where the table is that's big enough to hold the map. So I will be here or something. All right, can everybody hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look, the curtain open. Yep. The wind's blowing good. Okay, so we know that I have been trying to get this to work. So I've got the coordinates programmed into
Yep.
the rover. I gotta set this down. Hang on. So we've got
Yeah.
the base 1 is at 0, comma -1. Base 2 is at 7, 7.3, and base 3 is at 3.7. So if we turn this on, I just reprogrammed this thing, so I haven't tried it yet. So it's in space 3.3, And it says 2.6, 2.6. It's not bad. Let's move it to 2.4, and it says 2.58 and 2.62. So it's doing this thing. So it's still not scaling right. 1.1, 2.55, 2.58. It's still not scaling right.
Well, it's proportional though.
Yeah. It's basically looks like it hasn't moved much at all. All right. Well, that was a bust. That's not working. So it should be somewhere close to 5.3, and it's still saying 2.3, 2.6, 2.59. And if we go back there, that should drop back to 2.6, and it is.
Yeah.
So at least it's consistently saying that it's in the right spot, sort of. That was a bust. Hang on.
So it knows its location, but it's not ready to move.
Well, it apparently doesn't really know its location. I'll go back in here. I'll show everybody the algorithm. All right, when I come back. Oh. All right.
Oh, Ken's here.
Kenny's here. Kenny missed the failure of the thingamabob. So I finally found a decent explanation of how this works. And somebody had already wrote out the formula for it in C++. So it was easy enough to move that over to the Arduino IDE. And basically, these 3 points here are your initial coordinates for your bases. They call them, he's calling them points, but it doesn't matter what you call them. So that's base 1, base 2, and base 3. And of course, in my code, that's changed to the actual coordinates for the thing. And then you've got the radiuses, which are the distances that figures, and then it calculates a circle and it overlays all 3 circles and tries to figure out where you're at. And from what I've read here, and I may or may not be right, but this little section right here, I think, is where the scaling actually happens. But from what I can gather right through here, he doesn't talk about anything in feet or meters or anything. So it should just kind of work as far as I can tell. His initial question was, his numbers were way off. He needed 8 and 4.1. And so the guy who does this copy program site rewrote his formulas to give him something that was a little bit closer to 8.3 8.0 and 4.1. And this is where he talks about the vector qualities, which I'm going to be honest are a little bit above where I'm at right now. But I think this is where the scaling part takes place. So when I first did this, I had just put in like 0, 0, and 6.3 and 3.6 for those, and the numbers were about the same as they are now. So I went through and I said, okay, this is 0 and -1. So I changed it, and the numbers actually increased a little when I did that. So that's good, because when I had this at 0, 0, and the other numbers weren't quite right, it would tell me that 3.3, the spot 3.3 was 2.5, and when I changed these numbers, it said 2.6. So I can live with 2.6. That's close. I can live with 2.5. But I'm not really understanding something, and I think it's scaled. I think I've got some scaling problem going on. There's a link. I've just put the link to that in the chat, and that is solution number 9, trilateralization 2D algorithm.
Hey, Leroy, if you don't mind me asking, how is it getting information from the other bases to know where it's at? Is it like a beacon, or is it a power strength system?
No, it's like a so those beacons, they're like a beacon. They send out like a little time pulse, and they're using that DW1000 chip. It's the ultra wideband chip. It's using these ultra wideband transceivers, and you need 3 of them, at least 3 of them for your base, and 1 of them on your whatever you want to know where it's at. And they work in the 3.5 to 6.5 gigahertz range, and they are supposed to go down to about 10 centimeters. So in theory, my map or my grid layout, which is each one of the big grids is 10.8 centimeters about. So in theory, it should be just fine. But last week, when Steve took one of the bases and was walking all over the library, and it did actually seem like we were getting better numbers off of that base than when it was all concentrated down into one little area.
Right. It seems like if it's too close, that might be your problem.
I'm starting to wonder that, because like I said last week, when Steve took one of the bases and walked all over the place, it seemed like it was giving really good numbers. But when it's down on the map, it seems like it's off a little. Like, so I'm starting to wonder that. I'm starting to wonder if I printed a grid for no good reason.
Is this like plus or minus 5 centimeters, or is it?
The specs just say 10 centimeters. So
accurate to within 10 centimeters. That would be plus or minus 10 centimeters.
that would be how I would read that. So that yeah, I think because it's plus or minus 10 centimeters, I don't really think my grid's going to work real well anyway, because I mean, I could tell it to go to 2-3 and it would go 3-3 or, you know.
Yeah, your grids each would need to be 20 centimeters square.
Yeah.
In order to just be on the right grid component itself. And then, you know, having your reference base locations 10 to 20 feet apart, that would be kind of important.
Yeah, I think, do you remember Art? Do you remember, Jim, what he took it 11 feet inside, or
I think
was it
6
12
meters,
feet?
6 meters, I think was the limit or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was I thought I saw it go up to 11, but that was inside with all the books and everything too. So
Yeah, in the metal shelves and so
So
forth. And so on.
33 feet ish is what I think the limit was. But I don't know. I'm probably going to, I don't know, that my whole idea of doing small scales probably not right. I probably need to upscale big time. Put it inside of a room or something and see if I could figure it out. Divide the room into grid, into a grid, and see if I can.
I've been spending my last week doing tile floors, so I have gridded tile floors.
Well, we could number the tile floors and do the same thing, couldn't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you think it's a scale problem, basically?
I think it's a scale problem. And I don't think it scales. I don't think you can scale it small, because I mean, at 10 centimeters, it could be anywhere on that map and you're within 10 centimeters. I mean,
yeah.
that map is only, what did I figure that out at?
10 centimeters is 4 inches. If you're plus or minus 4 inches,
Right.
Probably be.
It's that the grid that I made is 75 point something centimeters. So it really, I mean, it could be almost anywhere in that map and still be within that grid. Which is, I think that's what it's showing me, right? When it said that, 6.3 was the same as, 2 point, whatever it was, 2.4 or whatever, versus 3.3, which was 2.6. I think that's what it's showing me, is that the scale is just, I'm too small. It's too small of a scale. I mean, I don't know. That's the way I'm reading this, is sometimes small scale doesn't translate well to big, and apparently sometimes big doesn't translate well to small. So, but that's what I'm thinking, because that's the past 3 weeks. When we saw Vicente 3 weeks ago, it seemed like on that small map, that the tiny map, it was really off.
Yeah.
And then last week, when Steve walked around, that was when it kind of hit me that maybe the scaling was off.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yes, as Ray said, I think that 20 by 20 centimeters would be a reasonable dimension for each cell,
Yeah. So my map, the big grids, the the big squares are 10.8 centimeters, and that's 4.27 inches or something like that. And the little tiny squares are 2 point something centimeters. So I was trying to get it as close to 10 centimeters as I could using Inkscape. But I think it's too small, and I'm going to have to find something else to use that grid for. Because I printed it. Now I got to find something to use with it.
So what size are the tiles, Ray? They 1 foot square?
Pretty much. I think they're 1 foot. They're almost 30 centimeters. That's a foot, isn't it?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
There's
About that.
39.35 inches in a meter.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're like 12 inches.
Yeah, so that's fine. See, that's a lot better, because if you had, you could still get somewhere close, right? I mean, it should at least tell you what grid you would be in.
Yeah, if you're accurate plus or minus 10,
Right.
and each grid is 30, I mean,
Yeah.
you should definitely be able to find
Probably
which grid you're going to be on. Yeah, or which tile.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that's what I need to do, is just go to room size.
Redo your house and put in new tile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to room size.
You need to go outside.
Because it does seem like this algorithm that I found works. I mean, it does seem like it's doing something. And, you know, even in my static trials, I was getting halfway decent numbers out of it. So I was like, okay, it's pretty close, but I think it's a scale problem. I think that the scale is just so hokey that it can't deal with that. You know? So
Are you
that's
able to export your information in real time? That way you can tell like where you're at and what kind of decisions it's trying to make.
Ultimately, that's what I wanted to do, was be able to tell it to go to, you know, start at grid 3 and tell it to go to 0 or whatever, and let it figure out how to do it. But I had to, you know, kind of prove that it even knew where it was at in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm stuck at, is trying to get it to tell me where it actually is located at on that map.
What did you say the largest grid it could work on? Like the size of a room or size of your yard?
Well, inside the library there with the books and everything, I think we got 11 meters. I think that was the biggest number I saw come off of it, which is about 35 feet, something like that. So I would go with that being a good starting point in an open spot.
That was also with books and walls and
Right.
all that stuff in a way.
Right. But
if you just had an open room,
it should be a lot better
than that.
I'm thinking an open yard, because you could use it for the trash can transport. You could use it for mowing the grass, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you, but like I said, 11 meters is what we saw at the library. So that's a good starting point. That's a good place to start and see how far out it could go. But
Hey, if we're wanting to increase the scale, your yard, I think that would be a pretty good good scale. I mean, some of us are vampires and can't go outside, but
the
Well, you could do it after dark.
kind of need something with like those tiles so that we could make a grid out so we could know that it's going to the right spot. I like that idea of using something that we have a grid already laid out. So my past 3 projects have kind of busticated on me a little bit.
Go back to blinking LED. LED.
Do what?
Hey,
Blink,
wait a
blink,
minute.
blink and LED.
Go get her.
Yep, gotta start from scratch again, don't I?
To cheer up, you know.
I can make a nice picture. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Oh, so Ray's no longer driving. Okay.
I made a nice picture. I can at least get a nice picture. Ray must be home. Say happy birthday, Carol.
Oh, thank you.
Burning,
Here you go, Ray. Will you take this?
Is that
Coke?
Nick? Is that Nick?
No,
No,
this
it's
is
Leroy.
Leroy and the rest of the robotics automation crew. My next engineer there.
Who was that? I didn't see who that was.
Aiden, my son.
Okay.
He just turned 9 years old a couple days ago. So.
Yeah, I've met Aiden before. Aiden knows me, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they just got home with dinner, so I got to get going. But
Okay. Food.
it's always good to see you guys. I'm glad that I get to participate and try to see what's going on. I will try to be at all the meetings that I can. In person is better, but doing what I can. I don't always have to have stuff, but hey, what you got there?
A hummingbird feeder.
Hummingbird feeder. Oh, we have a whole bunch of bird feeders here, and we got our little birdhouse over here, a little red birdhouse. Carol loves seeing the birdhouses and the birds and everything. So, all good.
The bird.
All right.
Bird.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Take care.
See you, Ray. Yeah. So, see, I spent $14 on that big grid. Now I got to find something to do with it.
What?
Yeah, it's 3 foot by 3 foot. It costs $14. That's cheap. I mean, that's cheap.
You have your Raspberry Pi Pico W.
Did you get one? I got one.
Yeah, I got one. Yeah, somewhere, but I didn't open it.
Me either. I haven't opened mine yet either. Have not figured out what I want to do with that thing.
Yeah, me neither. I'll be buying another one, but I don't even will know what's for.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. I probably would buy another one, but I don't know what to do with the first one.
Yeah, same thing.
So, you know, And which is it the C3, the ESP32 C3 that's going to have 5 gig Wi-Fi, 2.2 gig, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi?
No idea. And Bluetooth or not?
Do what?
Bluetooth also? Bluetooth?
Maybe. I don't know if they've actually made this yet. I've just seen some.
Is this a new chip or new board?
I think it's a new board. And it may not be the C3 that I'm thinking of. Because the board that I'm thinking of, I don't think they've made yet. Let's see.
So this is vaporware at this point?
Vapor hardware, yeah. C5, it's the C5. And I will put a link to that in the description. It is
C6. There is a C6 with Bluetooth.
it's a dual band.
Says Bluetooth.
It's a RISC, it's another RISC 5 single core.
So it's also got Bluetooth.
Yeah. I don't think they've actually, they may have made some demo boards for this. I don't think they've actually made any boards for it yet. See, the article that I just put a link to was done June 20th, 2022. So 7 days ago.
Try 37
30,
days.
37 days ago. Yeah, it's July, isn't it? Where am I? I'm
It's
on that little tiny grid.
It's almost August. Yeah, right.
Okay. I need help. Somebody help me.
Yeah, we've known that for quite a while, yeah.
Yeah, well. Still. Okay, a month ago. Still, I don't think they made any boards with this yet.
Well,
Yeah.
they're making them when they show up at Micro Center.
Yeah. Well, it took forever for me to finally get one of the ESP S2s. Those things finally showed up, and now I think the reason why I'm thinking C3 is because I'm seeing those boards show up. So, and that was announced, I think, a year ago. So
How much are they?
I don't know. Everything I searched for for just the I'm seeing the old boards, the older boards, about $10 or so.
Hardware business is a tough business, man. The price just keeps going down.
Well, and they kind of keep producing something new to keep people buying
Oh, yeah.
stuff. I mean, do I really need a board that does 5 gigahertz? Probably not, but I want it.
Yeah. Well, it's like the latest iPhone. A little different price range.
A little bit different price range. I mean, I've got one of those Wilo boards. And I've used it a few times. It's got 5 gigahertz. And what I connected to? The 2.4 gigahertz. Why? Because it was easier to get it to connect to the 2.4 than it was to get it connect to the 5s. But I bought that board. So I think I don't need it. I just want it. And I am their perfect customer because I don't need it. I just want it.
And in this case, it doesn't even have to work.
It doesn't even have to work.
Exactly.
Because you buy it and then it sits there.
Yeah.
Well, you know, so I've had those ultra widebands for I know a year, at least a year. And this is the first I've messed with them. So yeah, I mean, yeah. And instead of buying some cheaper ultra wideband modules, I went and bought the ones from M5. So you could get, let's see, a little bit cheaper, 38 bucks. Here's one for $38. It's not in a fancy case and all that. So
Wow. That's some link.
that is AliExpress.
So I don't understand what this 1586-3831.
So you could buy just the chip itself that you would need to mount onto a board, a hardware board for
Okay.
15, whatever, 16 bucks, or you could buy it already ready to go for 40 bucks. And the M5 stack stuff is $55, so it is a little tiny bit cheaper. So I'm looking at the data sheet for this DW1000 that they use. And it doesn't actually say Oh, well, okay. Yeah, it does. There it is. 290 meters. So says extended communication range up to 290 meters. I don't really know what extended communication range means, but
Means in your dreams. That's at 5 or is that at 2.4?
that is the DW1000 that
Oh,
is inside of those wideband, ultra wideband
oh, okay.
dealy bobs. That's the first data sheet that I've seen where it actually is told something of a range. Most of them just say precision down to 10 centimeters. So that's the first one I've seen that might actually have. And my guess is that's not real. That's extended communication range. So I don't really know what that means. Extended communication range at 110K. I don't really know what that means.
Hey, Art, I'm running my Argus wire-free camera as a hummingbird camera
Yeah.
with some success.
This is a Rio.
Yeah, Reolink Argus 3. That's the $100 wire-free. I'm using it because I can just tack it to the bird feeder and to the hummingbird feeder and leave it.
This is battery.
Yeah, this is Argus 3. That's the wire-free one with the solar panel.
Oh, it does have a battery, but this battery is charged by the solar panel.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all it is. They just have a little bigger battery and a receptacle for the USB cable. I'm having to get a little too close for it. And also I found out it has that infrared detector in it, and it looks like it has at like 6 inches or 10 inches and a foot. It looks like it has a dead spot right in the middle. So you have to turn it to the side a little bit.
That's the camera has a dead spot in the middle.
The infrared detector.
Ah, okay.
That may be intentional because it would be firing all the time. If it could see a foot away directly in the middle, it would, anything thought about moving, it would be going off. And you can tell, I noticed I had it focused on the bird feeder and it wouldn't go off. But if I walk behind the bird feeder down the walkway, which is 15 feet away, it did catch me every time. I went, oh, okay, I got you. For a real close range, it has a dead spot right in the middle, which you really, you've got such a big picture. You turn it to the left a little bit, it'll pick up the area where the bird is, and you have a good picture. So it's turned out it's working pretty good. A little too close. I need to be able to get Yeah, I'm like 10 inches away. That's too close. But I've been getting some pretty good images.
So now, that's $100 including the solar cell or not including the solar cell?
Including the solar panel, yeah. Yeah, with the Argus 3, I don't even think they sell it without the solar panel because it's,
Okay,
they may, but yeah, because you can buy the solar panel separate for $30, it looked like. And the Argus 2 is, I've got an Argus 2 and I had the Argus Pro, and I swapped it in for the Argus 2 because the Argus Pro stopped taking pictures. The Argus 2 is same thing, but instead of 4 megapixels, it's 2 megapixel. I might try it out there. Oh yeah, let's see. I can.
want to share the hummingbird feeder?
There he is.
Oh,
And notice the hummingbird feeder is not dead center. It's a little bit to the left,
uh-huh.
or a little bit to the right, actually. So that way you can catch motion. That's a female right there.
So you got to discourage them from going on the opposite side of the feeder and make sure they get attracted to the near side of the feeder.
Yeah, well, I've got some on both sides, but it looks like a big eyeball sitting up there. So they're going to be a little skittish. They are. But I got 2 of them up there yesterday. And I was telling Gail how romantic it was and sent a picture, a movie of them. And turns out it looked like both of them were male. Okay, well, oops. It was romantic, but a little different way. Yeah. But you normally don't see them that close together. You get 2 adults, they're not happy.
Well, I would assume the way their wings move, if they get too close together, they can't take off simultaneously.
They're just competitive. They'll go after each other. Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, you can hear them chirp, 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 and you hear them go after. They go after each other. They say put the feeders where you can't see from one to the other, because they are competitive. I'm sitting there watching them now in the background on the phone. And I'm pleased. I did take it off and charge it. It got down to like, well, I left it out there a couple of days and it got down to 87. I think I didn't have the solar cell in the shade the other day. And it got down to like 87. And finally, I went to see it. It does detect when it goes out of below the proper voltage. But they're supposed to last 30 days. I believe it. In a regular environment, non-hummingbirds easily last 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
The sun and the movement of the feeder does false a lot. You need to get further away to keep it from falsing. And it does, when it's sitting in its regular position, it doesn't false, rarely falses. So that's good news because it has those PIR sensors. Those are nice. For outside cameras, you need it. The bad side of these is they are normally slow to start up. So if you're going to have something that's going to be there for 3 seconds, it's going to zip through, you're not going to see it. But for people and stuff like that, you're going to do good. Yeah, call it that. You notice that there's a walkway behind it. And yeah, it catches everybody every time. Yeah, that PIR is nice for outside. And the distance is good too. It'll catch cars too. You have to turn it down. From 100 feet, it'll catch a car going down the road. You have to turn it down and block out the area, which you can do with these cameras. So it's nice. That's nice. Okay, we're 2 minutes over, Leroy.
Yeah. I was letting you finish up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I
See
will
y'all
see.
next time.
I will see everybody next week.
Sure. See you, everybody.
All
Take
right.
care.
Bye
Be
bye.
well.
Bye
Bye.
bye.